Welcome to ISE's FX Options Weekly Outlook, a weekly outlook on the US dollar versus the major currencies, hosted by Jason Ayres, a top industry instructor and founder of OptionSource.net. Learn to trade your views on the strength or weakness of the US dollar.
Welcome to the ISC FX Options Weekly Outlook for March 9th, 2009. This is Jason Ayres, founder and president of OptionSource.net. And as always, we're going to start with a look at our weekly U.S. dollar index. This is a great way to gain perspective as to how the U.S. dollar has been trading against a basket of currencies. And the 88.89 focal zone remains an important hurdle for the dollar index. After testing as high as 90 this week, we are observing a little indecision here as to which way the dollar wants to go. Now, a natural retracement could see a pullback as deep as the 84.85 focal zone. However, a little upside conviction will bring that 90.92 box back into play. Now you can see clearly here on our daily snapshot that a nice little support level is forming at that 88 range, suggesting the high probability of a push higher. Alright, with that in mind, let's take a look at the first of our ISE FX options pair values, the CDD, the US versus the Canadian dollar. Now, the US dollar tested as high as 29.71 this week before a mild pullback against the Canadian dollar. Now, we're looking at two key levels of support here should the pair value move towards a deeper retracement, the nearer term of which would be the 126, 127 focal zone, and failing to find support here, we would be looking at the 124 range as being a next logical target to the downside. Now, that being said, the CDD does appear to be holding on to its gains, bringing that 132 box into the picture as an upside target. Well, the YUK, the US versus the Japanese yen, traded into our 98.99 focal zone before pulling back. Now, as you can see, the pair value managed to rally strong on Friday, closing back inside that range. If the YUK cannot hold at this level, we are looking for a test back down into that 95.96 range. A break and a close above 98 opens the window for a test into that 101, 102 box. Next up, the EUI. Now we're seeing some strong resistance at the 80.81 focal zone as the EUI, the US versus the Euro, attempts to push higher. Now, continued weakening will likely yield a test back into support within that 77-78 range. Now, a break and a close above 80 opens the window for a move as high as 84. This is the next logical target to the upside as we continue to move higher in this pair value. Well, the BPX, the US versus the British pound, seems to have formed an inclining wedge which traditionally precedes a move lower. With resistance within the 71 range, the next logical support is down within that 69 to 69.5 focal zone. We are, however, open to the possibility of a push higher, which would be confirmed by a break and a close above 71.5. This would most likely meet with some resistance in that 72-73 box. And finally, the AUX, the US versus the Australian dollar, continue to consolidate within the confines of this continuation diamond that we've been watching for several weeks now. After a failed breakout, a mild retracement brought about a test of the 152 to 154 box before bouncing higher. At this point, consolidation above 154 supports the probability of a test into that 160 to 162 focal zone. Now, that being said, failure to hold at that 152 to 154 will likely yield a migration as far south as the 146, 148 range. Okay, let's take a look at a few of our key points. First of all, resistance is strong at the 88.89 focal zone within our US dollar index. Now, as suggested last week, a break and a close above 88.5 does support a move into that 90.92 focal zone. We did see this move during the week and closed Friday at 88.51. The CDD traded just shy of 130 this week. We may see a natural retracement back into that 126, 127 focal zone. However, there does appear to be some strength above 128 supporting a move up into the 132 box. The YUK appears to be rejecting out of the 98.99 focal zone. We are open to a test back down into the 95.96 support. The EUI appears to be retracing back towards support at the 77-78 focal zone. However, a break and a close above 80 opens the window for a push all the way into that 84 box. The BPX appears to be forming an inclining wedge, suggesting that we may see a test of support down at that 69.5 focal zone. However, a close above 71.5 appears to be a possibility as we push towards 74. The AUX appears to have formed a bullish continuation timing, which we have been looking at over the last several weeks. This does suggest the possibility of a push higher. Another break and a close above 158 will lend further credibility to a test up into that 162 focal zone. Folks, this has been your ISE FX Options Weekly Outlook for March 8th, 2009. I'm your host, Jason Ayres, founder and president of OptionSource.net. Thanks for joining me this week. We'll see you here next week.
Thank you for participating in this week's session. Please join us again next week. For more information about Jason Ayres and to sign up for free FX Options trade alerts, just visit www.optionsource.net. To learn more about ISE FX Options, including our weekly webinar series, visit us at www.ise.com/fx. ISE FX Options can easily be traded through all options-enabled brokerage accounts. These exchange-listed securities are cash-settled in U.S. dollars and have a European-style exercise.